you guys are saying, hey, not so fast on this lead sinker issue.
Absolutely. We oppose Senate Bill 89 as it's written currently because this bill effectively bans the use of all lead in New Hampshire waters. Now, we have to dial back to 1996. There was a law put in place that limited the weight and size of lead fishing tackle that was used on New Hampshire lakes. And the reason that was put in place was because small things like split shot that are a quarter ounce were being ingested by loons. Mm-hmm. The fishing community, the New Hampshire Wildlife Federation, recognized that to be an issue, and we absolutely supported that. So we accepted a ban on split shot and that type of fishing tackle to be used in New Hampshire lakes. Fast forward to now they effectively want to ban lead jigs, which are actually 4 times the weight of the split shot that's being used. Loons don't ingest that. The science that the Loon Preservation Committee, Harry Vogel and some of the other folks, doesn't come from New Hampshire sources. It does not come from New Hampshire research. I've known Sheridan Brown a very long time. Sheridan's a stand-up guy. I understand the position he's in, but the science is not sound. It is not sound science. If it were sound science, I'm certain we'd be hearing a lot more from the New Hampshire Fish and Game Department on this. Okay? Let's talk about the reality of what fishing tackle is made out of. You know, the average fisherman does not care what their fishing tackle is made out of. They don't care if it's lead or bismuth or tin composites, okay? What they care about is access to it, okay? By doing a widespread ban on jigs and lead fishing tackle that this bill advocates to do, you're decimating the fishing industry in the state of New Hampshire. And presently, let's look at the honest facts in terms of how many loons we have. At present, there is a report at Fish and Game that says our loon population is over carrying capacity. In other words, New Hampshire's carrying capacity is roughly 600 loons. We have, last count, 636 loons. So I'm finding this whole thing, 52% of loons dying, is actually a red herring in this present day and age.
48.
Yeah.
That's what they said.
48%. Okay.
Just to be fair.
Yeah.
But, you know, with that all being said, I one of the things I've brought up is that access to jigs. One of the things that I know as a fisherman, it's hard to find alternatives unless you are using split shots. If you're using split shots, it's all out there.
Sure.
I'm a very active fisherman, and one of the things that I had said also is that I'm already at a point where I'm using mostly no tox because I go to other states that have these requirements, and just, you know what, it's just easier for me not to get myself into trouble and have the wrong thing. But one of the things that I'm a little confused on is the ingestment seems very high here. How are these birds? My understanding is that loons are not they're not filter birds, like a spoon-billed duck who goes through the mud and silt and kicks stuff up and eats it. How are they ingesting these? Are they picking them up off the bottom, or are they just... I don't understand.
Well, I'm not clear on the pathology. I haven't heard a clear explanation from either the Loon Preservation Commission or a committee or anybody else on how exactly, what the nature is that they're ingesting. They say they eat them. Well, what does that mean? Are they I mean, all kinds of animals eat all kinds of things, and they don't necessarily ingest it. They spit it, or... I don't know what the pathology is, to be quite honest with you. What I do know is that this particular bill will decimate the sport fishing industry. And you think hunting is big? I mean, fishing is bigger.
Yeah, that's about where I was going to go next. But in the studio, I have Rick Olson. He's the New Hampshire Wildlife Federation. He's the president. And while we're talking about the jig heads, and you talk about the fishing, you just brought it up there a second, and this was my next question. What is the fishing industry, the recreational fishing industry, worth in the state of New Hampshire, rough estimate?
It's in the millions. I mean, millions, maybe even billions. I really don't have those numbers. I know it's bigger than hunting. We have recreational fishermen coming from other states, Massachusetts, Vermont, Rhode Island. I mean, I ran into a fisherman that came in from Pennsylvania last year. So we have a lot of folks that come here just to fish. We have fishing tournaments here that are very widely celebrated, and this initiative will effectively put those out of business. In the alternative, we can go lead-free, but we need the cooperation of fishermen. We need cooperation of the Loon Preservation Committee, and we're all about that. I mean, we've already done that. We've already gone down that road. We did that with waterfowl hunting because you can't use any lead shot when you hunt waterfowl. What they're wanting to do is decimate it all overnight, and the crisis is simply not there. It simply doesn't exist. Our loons are in good shape. They're a very healthy bird. Their presence is well-founded on our waters. You know, the thing that amazed me, the last time this bill came up, I was at the State House, and all the people that showed up, I identified several of the homeowners that showed up in support of banning this lead fishing tackle. And interestingly enough, some of these people owned homes right on the lakes. And if their homes were not there, those would otherwise be prime nesting habitats for loons. You know, so I found that to be a little bit disingenuous.
I've often argued that, not even on this issue, that some of the people who scream the most are the people who are taking habitat away. And so I will say, and it's not even on this particular issue. I mean, I see this all the time. I grew up in a saltwater marsh environment, and the people who were always trying to change the laws were people who had essentially filled in parts of the marsh. It's like, well, wait a minute, you're supposedly to save all this, and you're fighting it. But Rick, I'm almost running out of time here. So one thing that you had said was that you're for, like, if we all come together, we can come up with an agreement. I think that's a very important note. There's some willingness for give and take here.
Sure. No fisherman goes out in the morning and ever says, you know, no fisherman ever going to make the argument that we need to use lead and lead alone.
Right. Okay.
Or we want to poison the loons. That argument has never, ever been made, and it's never suggested that it's been made. But the bottom line is you simply can't take one bill overnight and decimate the entire fishing industry in the state of New Hampshire just by simply outlawing these lead jigs. There is an industry standard where the transformation can take place, where we can gradually, over a period of several years, eliminate the lead and bring in the substitutes like bismuth and tin and things like that.
Did with waterfowl.
Like we did with waterfowling. And I think the fishing community would accept that. The Bass Federation would accept that. And the sportsmen in New Hampshire would accept that as well.
Well, it sounds to me like there's, like I said, there's a willingness for give and take here. It doesn't sound like on the end of the sportsmen, which I'm a member of that community, proud member. It doesn't seem to be wait, no way, we're not going for this. Just a little compromise and
Sure.
work, a little give and take from each side, which I think is fair. I think that's a really good way to look at it, and I think that's the way we have to promote it. Rick, I got about a minute left. Do you want to talk real quick about the New Hampshire Wildlife Federation?
The New Hampshire Wildlife Federation is New Hampshire's foremost advocate for hunting, fishing, and trapping. We get involved in specific projects, conservation projects. We're involved with the dam removal to support New Hampshire's anadromous fish. We get involved in presentations. Education is one of the cornerstones of our mission. And we have a full board. We meet every third Monday in Concord, 54 Portsmouth Street in Concord. And we're just a fantastic organization. If you're a hunter, fisher, or trapper, you need to join us because we advocate. Not only that, our latest advocacy is for shooting ranges.